Since Caitlin Clark has entered the league, the prevailing conversation around the WNBA has been drawing power.
Angel Reese once boldly declared that people tune in to women's basketball because of her. A bold take, until you see what actually went down when she returned to LSU with the Chicago Sky. You'd think Baton Rouge would roll out the purple carpet, right?
There's one thing that Angel Reese is not. Angel Reese is not a draw. If you haven't believed me before, this weekend further proved that point. Because the Bayou Barbie was officially rejected in the Bayou. Angel Reese was rejected at home.
But nope. That 13,000-seat arena? Barely half full with just 6,300 fans bothering to show up. And that's being generous. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark had fans shelling thousands for tickets. Her preseason game sold out faster than you can say delusional hype. And the contrast? Oh, it's brutal. We've got the pictures Reese probably wishes she could delete from the internet. Aisles of empty chairs, $15 tickets gathering dust, free tickets being given away, and a whole lot of awkward silence. Remember when she said she was bringing eyes to the game? Well, apparently those eyes were too busy looking elsewhere. If you ride with Caitlin, comment CC is the needle down below. Let's go.
How embarrassing! Now, you're not going to hear this from the mainstream media who continues to pretend that the Bayou Barbie is beloved. You're not going to hear this from the media who continues to pretend that Angel Reese is a huge star.
So let's unpack why this little LSU homecoming may have stung more than one of Reese's trademark missed layups. And no, this wasn't just an average game. It was supposed to be her moment. Her glorious return to the campus that made her a star. The same campus where she danced on national TV with a championship trophy. The same place where fans once screamed her name like she was LSU's Beyoncé. This was her time to shine, to walk back in as the hometown hero.
The Chicago Sky go into LSU, the home court of Angel Reese. Man, it's going to be lit. It's going to be lit.
Instead, it was a ghost town with a scoreboard. The social media pics from that night are circulating like wildfire, and let's just say they're not doing Reese any favors. Huge chunks of the arena sat in total silence, sections completely untouched by human presence. We're talking cavernous gaps of empty plastic seats, entire rows of nothing. The upper bowl never even opened. Why? Because they couldn't fill the bottom one. For someone who claims she's revolutionizing the sport, the vibes were more forgotten open mic night than WNBA superstar returns to roaring applause.
Nobody showed up to this sucker. Nobody. Let me just blow this. Look at that. I noticed it right off the bat. Look, number one, look at all the purple seats down here in this lower bowl section. And then the entire top bowl, forget about it. Forget about it.
And here's the most hilarious part. Tickets were basically free, heavily discounted, and some were even being given away. Most seats would average $15. That's less than the cost of parking at most NBA arenas. We're talking cheaper than a movie and popcorn. Still, fans didn't bite. You could have thrown in a coupon and a selfie and the seats would have stayed cold. The woman who claims she's the reason people care about women's basketball couldn't even draw half a crowd at her own alma mater. Let that sink in.
Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese are not the same. Both had their homecoming celebrations this weekend. One of them sold out in 27 minutes. The other one couldn't give away free tickets.
Let's go full math nerd for a second. To hit 50% capacity in that arena, they needed at least 6,670 fans. Angel didn't even crack that. She missed the halfway point by about 300 people. That's not a near miss. That's a full-on whiff. And when someone talks as much as she does about changing the game, falling short of a D-list concert crowd is not the flex she thinks it is.
In case you were wondering, I did do the math. How many seats were actually left last night? Over 6,800. In a 13,000 capacity arena, there was over 6,800 seats still available. And some people were saying, by the way, that literally there were some $15 tickets out there.
Even the broadcast knew something was off. Every frame was zoomed tighter than Reese's TikTok videos. But, unfortunately for Angel, social media exists. And fans? They weren't shy about sharing the unfiltered reality. Images of an arena echoing with awkward quiet. Seats as empty as her claims of stardom.
Look at all those empty seats, folks. That is crazy as hell. I mean, empty, all that. Never mind all this. They could have put black tarps over it. Look at that. Look at that. Look, the WNBA still got problems. They got problems over and beyond one player. I don't know what they do about it.
You might be thinking, okay, one game, so what? But here's where it gets hilarious. Angel's been running her mouth for months about how she brings new fans, how she's the spark behind women's basketball blowing up. But numbers don't lie. Empty arenas don't lie. Silence doesn't lie. She can post all the Instagram reels she wants. 6,300 fans in a building that holds 13,000 is all the fact check we need.
The Brazilians sent their national team to Baton Rouge to open the WNBA preseason against the Chicago Bravado. The event was marketed as a homecoming for Angel Reese. The Bayou Barbie returns to the Bayou to be worshipped by her millions and millions of adoring fans.
This was supposed to be a full-circle moment. A hero's welcome. Instead, it was a PR disaster wrapped in a participation trophy. The place where she built her brand didn't even show up. Her ride-or-die fan base must have had better things to do. And if Angel Reese can't pull a crowd at LSU, then where exactly can she? Now, let's talk about the player who actually is bringing fans to the game, Caitlin Clark. While Reese was playing to crickets and camera pans, Clark was busy selling out entire arenas. Her preseason game in Iowa wasn't just packed. It was electric. Every seat filled. Every fan on their feet. Scalpers could have made rent off those tickets. The demand? Insane. The energy? Unmatched. Clark doesn't just draw crowds. She creates moments.
Good luck finding affordable tickets for the Indiana Fever preseason game against Brazil at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Seats at the arena for the May 4th matchup between the Indiana Fever and Brazil were first offered to season ticket holders and a few top donors. It didn't take long for them to be gone.
And here's where things really start to spiral, in a hilarious, popcorn-worthy kind of way. When tickets for Caitlin Clark's preseason game at Carver Hawkeye Arena dropped, they didn't trickle out over a few days. They didn't crawl their way to sold-out status in a few hours. Nope. Every single seat was snatched up in 27 minutes flat. Less than half an hour. That's quicker than it takes to order pizza and regret your topping choices. People were refreshing their screens like it was Beyoncé tickets, and we're talking about a preseason game. That's the kind of demand that doesn't just say star power, it shouts it with confetti cannons. The contrast between these two couldn't be louder. Angel's big return felt like a retirement ceremony no one RSVP'd to. Clark's preseason outing felt like a national holiday. One rookie is struggling to fill a room in her own backyard. The other's being treated like a rock star wherever she goes. People are fighting to see Caitlin play. They're rearranging vacations and buying flights. This isn't hype, it's real stardom.
Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
Clark has single-handedly turned preseason WNBA games into must-watch TV. Meanwhile, Angel can't even get LSU to care for one night. And sure, you could make excuses, timing, marketing, weather, whatever. But let's be honest. If she truly had that kind of pull, fans would have shown up. The fact that they didn't says more than a press conference ever could.
The crowd was praising their Bayou Barbie. The chants of Angel Reese could be heard all the way in the third row. Problem is, I wouldn't exactly call it a crowd. Even calling it a small gathering might be inappropriate. Perhaps a more suitable description would be a family reunion.
And it's not just this one game. This is a trend. Everywhere Clark goes, ticket prices spike. Jerseys fly off shelves. Social engagement explodes. She's not just changing how we watch women's basketball. She's redefining who watches it. Angel Reese can talk all she wants, but while she's talking, Caitlin Clark is delivering. Now, let's really wrap our heads around this. Fans are dropping hundreds, no, scratch that, thousands, of dollars on resale sites just to catch Caitlin Clark in action, and not in playoff games or even games that count. These are glorified scrimmages, the basketball equivalent of a sound check. Still, people are reaching deep into their wallets like it's their civic duty just to witness her live. Who does that for preseason? Oh, right, superstars, game changers, icons in the making. Caitlin Clark.
And then here we have today, basically clapping back at all of that and proving that they know that they are the moment, they are the Showtime team, they are the biggest team currently in the WNBA. This kind of stuff is not only good for the Indiana Fever, it's good for the entire WNBA.
Meanwhile, on the opposite end of the hype spectrum, Angel Reese's preseason homecoming was practically a Groupon event. Tickets were going for $15. And even that was apparently a bit too steep for most. You could have brought a date and bought snacks for less than the cost of a single Fever resale ticket, and still, fans were like, hey, maybe next time. Imagine offering the basketball version of dollar store deals and still watching the crowd skip town. Things get even wilder when you realize opposing teams are now upgrading their arenas just to host Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. That's right. They're moving games to bigger buildings because their regular ones can't keep up with the Clark effect. That's not normal. That's not hype. That's a traveling economic boom wrapped in a pair of sneakers. Every time Clark hits a new city, local vendors smile, and team accountants throw high fives. She's not just a player, she's a stimulus package.
Now, what I also think is hilarious is that they took that a step further. So if you go to the team store, the Indiana Fever's team store, you will see that they have a brand new t-shirt that they are selling. And that t-shirt says, every game is a home game. And then on the back, it says, now you know, with a sold out banner with all of their basically schedule. It's like a tour t-shirt and it says every game is a home game.
And with this massive chasm between who's drawing fans and who's drawing yawns, the question practically writes itself. Who's really putting butts in seats? The stats have spoken. The ticket demand has spoken. The empty and overflowing arenas have spoken. And all fingers are pointing in one direction, Caitlin Clark. She's selling out venues faster than Swifties sell out world tours, while Angel Reese is struggling to fill even half the building at her own celebratory return. These aren't hot takes. They're cold, hard facts. And before anyone tries to chalk it up to college loyalty, let's shut that down real quick. Caitlin Clark is packing arenas she's never stepped foot in. These aren't just Iowa fans on a road trip. These are basketball fans, period, of all stripes, flocking from everywhere to witness her play. Meanwhile, Angel couldn't even fill the gym she literally built her brand in. If the very fans who cheered her through a championship year can't muster up enough interest to show up, then what are we really talking about here?
As family and friends of Angel Reese welcome the Bayou Barbie back to the Bayou, pay very, very close attention to the so-called crowd. Roll the clip. This was her homecoming. This was supposed to be a night of celebration. It looked like an LSU home game in November of 2023, when Angel Reese was supposedly at the height of her drawing power. Thousands of empty seats.
Remember when Angel Reese hit social media with that grand proclamation? She didn't just hint at her importance, she said it straight up. The reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too. That's not a misquote, not media spin. That's straight from the source. A public, confident declaration that she's one of the main drivers of women's basketball viewership. Bold, powerful, except where's the proof?
Sorry, young lady. Nobody knows who you are. Nobody would be watching the WNBA additionally for you. This is all about Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is bringing the money to the game, the planes to the game, the TV viewership. The WNBA is on fire because of Caitlin Clark.
Because now we've got the receipts. The literal receipts. Attendance numbers don't need interpretation. They are what they are. And the numbers from her LSU homecoming are painting a picture that looks more like a wake than a welcome. If Reese really has that kind of impact, where were the fans? Because they weren't in those seats, that's for sure.
According to the mother of Angel Reese, who also refers to herself as Angel Reese, according to the original Angel, they are not celebrating her drawing power, mainly because it doesn't exist. They are celebrating championships. Mama Reese got on social media and clapped back at the haters, which in this case were Caitlin Clark fans who were pointing out the empty arena. According to Mama Reese, Caitlin and Angel are not the same. We celebrating championships over here.
And here's the truly bizarre part. Angel Reese has millions, and I mean millions, of social media followers. You'd think with all those fans hanging on her every post, they'd show up when she hits the court. But nope, crickets. It's like her entire following vanished the moment a basketball was involved. Apparently, people are way more interested in her outfits than her offense. Let's be clear, 6,300 people in the stands is what you might expect for a sleepy mid-season college game, not a headline-making WNBA homecoming for a self-proclaimed viewership magnet. If Angel's drawing all these new fans to the game, they must have gotten lost on the way to the arena. Or maybe they just stayed home to scroll her Instagram stories instead.
One of them packed 15,000 paid fans into the arena. The other couldn't fill the lower bowl.
This whole situation makes you wonder, are we watching a baller or are we watching a brand? Because it's starting to feel like Angel Reese is better at content creation than crowd creation. Is she a star athlete or is she a viral personality who occasionally dabbles in layups? Because one of those puts fans in seats, and the other puts filters on selfies.
But look at their career trajectory since then. Caitlin Clark is the only draw in the history of women's basketball. Angel Reese couldn't sell out home games at LSU, couldn't sell out home games in the WNBA in Chicago, can't fill half the arena for her homecoming celebration. Caitlin Clark doesn't beg for attention. Matter of fact, I would imagine that Caitlin Clark gets tired of the attention.
Her famous quote about bringing eyes to the game, completely torched by the turnout at LSU. You can't spin away that many empty seats. They scream louder than any tweet, TikTok, or headline. Say whatever you want online, but when the turnstiles aren't spinning, the hype doesn't hold up. Let's call it what it is. Angel Reese is looking more like a social media influencer who happens to wear a jersey than a bona fide basketball draw. Sure, she's got the sponsorships, the fashion deals, the attention, but where's the in-person support? The fans willing to show up, spend money, and chant her name from the rafters? Spoiler, they weren't in Baton Rouge.
She does everything she can to keep her name in the headlines, yet for some reason, it doesn't translate to ticket sales, doesn't translate to television ratings. Angel Reese was the biggest star in Unrivaled. Hell, she was the only star in Unrivaled. No one was watching.
The truth is out, and no filters can fix it. The narrative about her being the next big thing in women's hoops is starting to crack, loudly. And no, it's not just haters noticing, it's everyone. Because if you can't even fill half an arena in your own college town, the one place where you should be a legend, then it's time to admit the disconnect between the talk and the turnout. At the end of the day, the fans told the truth. They didn't show up. That's the harsh reality. While Caitlin Clark has people practically fighting over seats and crashing ticket sites, Angel Reese had $15 tickets gathering dust. The battle for who's really growing the game isn't even close. And if you're looking for the answer, just count the chairs. If you ride with Caitlin, comment CC is the needle down below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.